Welcome back to another video. Today we're going over Slovenia U18's offense from the U18 EuroBasket tournament. Slovenia was the most efficient offense of the tournament and one of the most interesting to watch for sure. They led the tournament in effective field goal percentage at 52%, led the tournament turnover percentage at 11%, which ultimately contributed to their tournament best 0.995 points per possession overall. They also, something to note, they led the tournament in at-rim points per shot at 1.28. So without further ado, we're going to dive into the film and we're going to look at, one of probably my favorite offenses I've got to look at this summer. So there's certainly a lot to unpack when looking at this offense, and so we're kind of jump around a little bit, but I wanted to start here with just one way that they helped remove rim help through one of their sets. So they like to do this out of the middle ball screen option, but they also did, you'll see, from the side in different scenarios. So I'm going to roll the clip and we'll talk about it after. But they go to this middle ball screen, kind of ram, ghost, and then you'll see here on the back end this kind of Gortat screen, or screening at the rim to obviously remove the rim help. So this is a really effective way that they utilize this a lot in a lot of their sets. But so all it is just normal middle ball screen set, ram, and then obviously this guy's just is taking advantage of the fact that the defense is playing on the high side or they're playing up the line. So he's going to come off the screen and he's going to get downhill, and obviously he's just going to sit right behind set a screen and create a driving gap for his guard getting downhill. So just a really great way that I thought they did this a lot. You'll see. Just another really good example of it here. Or we're on the clip, same thing. Ram ghost, and then they're going to screen at the rim, Gortat at the rim, and they're going to get an easy layup out of it. So I just really like how it just plays on the fact that it's taking advantage of what the defense is giving you. So he's coming off the screen, and this X5 here is up the line. He's ready to absorb this drive, when it gets down, because they know guard to guard is probably a ghost, and they're going to stay with or switch depending on, whatever their principles are. So he's ready to take on this drive, and then, so, our Slovenian five-man here is just going to take advantage of that. He's going to screen up the line. He's going to give our guard a really great opportunity to get downhill. So just a really neat way that they do this a lot. Another example of it here out of a, we'll say side ball screen situation. So slices out to the wing, same thing, just removing that rim help. Just another really good way they did it. I just wanted to show this one because they did it out of a side ball screen situation. But I also really like kind of this, we'll talk more about this later, but how even a lot of times when they ran stuff like this, the guy who would be the ghost screener sometimes wouldn't even get close to the ball handle at all. They would just kind of clear space. And I thought it was a really neat way to essentially like create a double gap scenario, a double gap situation for the guard to drive. So instead of just bringing two to the ball, he's just getting out the way. He's letting the guard, they know that they can get downhill in the situation, and they're going to take advantage of knowing that they're going to be able to create a better advantage at the rim later. So sometimes they, like in the first couple of clips you saw, that they really got close. It was more of a ghost screen. They touched and got out. But in a couple of these, this one, for example, he's just cutting through. He's just clearing space, and he's letting that guard get downhill because he knows that the rim help's going to get removed by this, screen at the rim or top screen. Last one here. This is obviously out of a middle ball screen situation. This is more, I think it was secondary break kind of thing. Maybe it was an ATO, I can't remember, but little different scenario, but same thing. You'll see how the Gortat screen kind of happens more organically throughout the possession. So I'll roll the clip and we can talk about it. But twisted screen gets downhill to the outside, and then the way he plays, our guard here plays with patience and lets his big complete his roll in order to clear the help at the rim was, I thought, it's a really, really good job from him, obviously playing with patience, and then obviously knowing that good on the big for getting out and rolling and clearing that space. So run it again, but it's a really nice way that they were able to do this kind of organically, not necessarily as more design. But now we're going to move on to one of their sets that I really enjoyed, and they got a lot of really good options out of it. And I really liked it too because the way it layered different actions together helped create, they used it as a quick hitter to get a layup. They used it as a way to kind of play a two-man game with their best player. And so we'll kind of dive into a couple different options here, but I just want to run the clip first and see. So it's kind of like people call it Miami. So it's a DHO into a ball screen, and then he's going to get off of it quick, and then they're going to roll into an empty player. So there's the handoff, ball screen, gets off of it, and then this guy doesn't clear right away, but they're looking at this empty flare scenario, and they got this back cut a lot out of this play, as you'll see. But I'll run it back, and this is their best player, Stefan Joksimovic. Hopefully I pronounced that right, but they ran this a lot for him, and they got a lot of layups out of it. And also they got him just in action and ball screens as well, but you'll see they got this a lot. But I think it's really hard to guard, especially for a defender. So one, you obviously have to fight through a ball screen, so your momentum's taking you all the way. You're fighting hard to get through that screen. So you're committing fully to getting through, moving towards your left, and then this scenario, you'll see in a couple they really picked on the flare, but this one obviously happens a little slower, but still you have to completely change what you're doing. He still has to try hard and fight through the screen in anticipation that they are going to throw it over the top, but they don't. And then now the ball's back to the 5, and you'll see here now he's got to get ready for like a dribble handoff or a ball screen on this empty side, so he has to shift his weight all the way back over to the left, which ultimately sets him up for the back cut, which is what they get out of it. So it's a really neat action, I think, and it's a way that, especially when you have a talented guard, talented wing in Stephon, and the way you're able to create advantages for him, this is a really good option for it. And you'll see in some other clips how they utilize it in different ways as well. I know they say they had different options out of it, but this is the same result. So you're going to see there's the handoff ball screen, gets off of it. He's cut through. Now we have an empty flare. This is where they get the back cut. And I think one thing, too, that really sets this play up for success is what I've talked about before when layering offense, in layered offense and layered sets, and what sets it up for success is using the whole floor. So this is a good example of it. They really did that in this play. They executed well. So after this flare, you'll see on this backside, right here, right? Because they're anticipating, they know what's going to happen over. They know Stephon's going to back cut. They know that's what they're looking for. So these two guards engage their defenders here. They kind of do this like fake pin down scenario. So they switch it. It does exactly what they're hoping to do. They engage them completely. So there's no one has any idea what's going on back here, which sets up the back cut super nicely. I don't think they're really stopping that throw anyway, but regardless, it's a really neat way that teams in Slovenia utilize the whole floor in order to help set up what they wanted to get out of it. Now we're looking at a different option out of it. So the same thing, handoff, ball screen, and this they play a little more out of it. They try to they don't get the backup in this one, so they kind of roll through their options a little bit here, but get into a 2-man empty side game here and draw foul and get foul out of it. So just another neat way, so I just really like this set because it kind of plays on different types of offense. So you have quick hitters where they get the back cut, and then ultimately they have this empty side game or empty side 2-man game where they can go to whenever the defense does take away that back cut. So just another neat way that I think that they were able to generate some good looks and get the ball in the hands of their best player while naturally running the guy who's guarding him off of some different stuff. So I wanted to highlight this clip as well because the clip was cut a little bit short because the camera angle was a little funky. But so you'll see they try to run the same set, but Bulgaria here is really, they're taking away the sideline. So they're going to make this handoff really, really hard. So Slovenia was really good at just kind of organically flowing into the next option without having to, stop and force it and, the play is done. So they do a really good job here. So instead of trying to force this handoff and go against what the defense is giving them, our ball handler here just comes off the ball screen, and then they're going to flow into it naturally, as you'll see. So he comes off, and he cuts through as if, he was off the handoff, and then they go to the empty flare and get a really nice look out of it, really nice advantage. So we'll run that one back, but I just really thought it was a neat way that they did a really good job of just flowing from one action to the next. So here you'll see, boom, he comes off, the handoff's not there, so then they're just into it. I think they kind of, our 5 was like, oh wait, yeah, like we're in our normal set. So then he gets off of it and then cuts through, and so it still sets up that empty flare, and they get a really nice look out of it. They probably had the roll there as well. So there's so many options that come out of it, and I just thought it was a really neat way how even when maybe it seemed like the defenses were like, all right, we're taking it away now, they still found a way to still get to the advantage that they wanted to create. All right, we got 2 quick clips of probably the most popular action from EuroBasket across all levels. So it was this, I called it swing step up, and so all it was this guard here. He's going to bring it down. He's going to throw it to the guard on the wing to go into a dribble handoff, and then the big's going to stay lifted right around this elbow area. After this guard in the corner gets the handoff, he's going to get off of it early, kick ahead to the guard at the top, and he's going to come off the middle ball screen. And so that was probably one of the most ran actions just across all levels, in Slovenia U18 ran it as well. So I'm including these 2 clips because of the way that they took advantage. So they cut the play short, and defenses would take away the option of hitting the guard at the top of the key, as you'll see. And then what they did was they just took advantage of the fact that, okay, if you're going to overplay and the big right here is going to be lifted out of the paint, then we're going to attack the paint on the baseline side here when there's no help at the rim. So I'm going to run it. Did a little too much talking there, but I'm going to run the clip so you can see. So they did a good job guarding to take it away. And so then, they're just getting right into it. So, hey, we're going to take advantage of the fact that there's nobody helping at the rim. And obviously someone tried to come over, but they threw a foul. So it's a really nice way, I thought, that you can organically, like, hey, we're running the set a lot. If teams are going to take it away, you have to include, what you're going to do out of it when teams do that. So, like, hey, what's the next option? If it's totally denied, like, what do we get to? And I think they try to a little bit here. They try to hit this 5, which is a really popular way that I've seen teams do it. So, like, when the guard is denied heavy, they hit the 5 and they'll go into like a blind pig action. But another neat way, I just really thought teams Slovenian specifically took advantage of it was they just said, hey, like, all right, there's no rim help. We're going to get downhill. We have an advantage created already. So that's one example of it. And then we'll flow right into the next one. But same idea here, but come off, get here, boom, they're in the handoff, and then they're going to try to get to this action, but it's not there. This guy's denied. And so then they do a really good job of just throwing back to the corner, and then everybody's lifted. It's closeout situation with maybe one man to help at the rim, and so then they do a good job getting downhill and getting a layup out of it. Staying on theme here, this is another option out of the same set. This is more designed, but they would run the same thing, but our guy here getting the ball who's going to initiate the dribble handoff would just keep it and get downhill. Once again, just taking advantage of the fact that there's no help at the rim. But you'll see, I think this one seemed more, the first two clips were more just kind of happened as a read. These, I think, are more designed, but he's going to get the ball here and he's going to keep and get downhill. But they do a good job. Italy does a pretty good job rotating out of this, but still, it's too late. And obviously they're anticipating this ball getting handed off right here at the corner, and they're anticipating step-up ball screen happening. So they're all loaded up, anticipation of that. So, just another really good example of, when teams, I think they find different ways to maximize the advantages they can create out of just a couple of sets or a couple of actions they want to go to a lot. So that was one example of it. And then here, the same thing. So they're going to get off of it. He's going to go to this handoff, and he's just going to keep it. And this one, obviously, they were not ready for it. They get a dunk out of it. So this is another really nice way. I just think when you see teams that are able to do stuff like this, just finding ways to just create more advantages out of stuff that they do every day. So, all right, now we're going to get, we kind of talked about some sets that I thought that they executed at a high level, that they went to a lot. This is more player movement stuff, so stuff that happens, at the end of drives or maybe, after a player more organically. And so one thing that they did a lot and I thought was super, super neat was how they would fill the dead corners to start possessions, but then on a lot of middle drives, baseline drives, they would actually lift out of the corner. So they would leave that dead corner. And I think a lot of times in basketball, especially, at the lower levels and even in college too and stuff, it's just like you're so taught to just, fill the dead corners and stay there. And I think Slovenia shows a really good example of why sometimes necessarily you don't have to occupy the dead corner. Or you occupy the dead corner, but then how movement out of it can create an advantage even more than just staying there completely. So I'll roll this first couple clips and we can talk about it. But so middle drive here, and then this is so the other part I didn't talk about was the dive down the slot here. So what happened a lot was when they got into the 5-out spacing was they would run, maybe whatever it was. So this is an empty side step up here. They reject it, and then the big would dive down the slot here, and the guard who was in the corner would lift out. And for a couple of reasons, it's super effective. One, obviously, you'll see in some later clips, but this dive here, especially, it's going to happen later in drive, so it freed up a lot of layups. And then two, this guy lifting out the corner just makes it, one, he makes himself available for, like, it's basically a one pass away scenario. So this guard's going to have to pick between, tagging here or sinking on the big or staying out, helping on the drive and maybe leaving his man open. So it's a really tough cover for a lot of different reasons, and you'll see some more examples later clips. But here, obviously, one pass away scenario. Now we're in a closeout situation. He's going to get downhill, and he's going to get to the paint, get a shot they want to get out of it. I really like this clip too because it just shows how simple movement can create layups for your team at the end of drives, especially. So they run a little ghost and hit, and then he's going to get to fake this handoff. He's going to get downhill, baseline drive scenario, and so you'll see on this backside. Watching this backside, this big's going to dive down the slot, and then this guard's going to lift out the corner. So roll the clip, and just that simple movement is what creates layups out of the scenario. So I just really like this for a couple of reasons because, one, the timing of this obviously is really good, but he's waiting on this dive, so he gets here, right, big commits, and right as the big commits, he's diving down the slot here, diving, almost like a 45 cup, he's just diving right down the slot. So a couple of reasons. One, the timing's really good because he waits for the big to commit, so obviously helps set up a layup scenario. And then two, this timing of this guard lifting out of the corner. Lifts here to become available for a skip potentially, but then also it draws this guy's attention in this scenario. So when he starts lifting out, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh wait, now I've given up a dunk. So just a really nice way that I think they organically created some movement, gave himself some layup opportunities out of end of drive situations. Last but not least, we just have a couple of different ways. Slovenia was probably one of the more interesting ways I saw them run offense was how they screened zones. And they didn't get zoned a whole lot, but I just really thought I had three clips here of different ways they screen zones. So the first one is just basically from the first clips we showed today, but how they use kind of screening at the rim or top screen in order to get a layup. So just a really nice action. We'll run it back real quick, but just taking advantage of they got this corner occupied with this man, and then they're going to some confusion on the ball here with a little ghost, and so that's what gets him downhill, and then they're just going to remove the rim help completely with setting the screen right here. So really nice way, just of different ways Slovenia screen zone defenses. This one here is probably one of my favorite clips just from the whole video, and the way they screen zone defenses. So I'm going to run it. I'm not going to say anything, and then we'll talk about it, but just a really nice way to generate a three here. Gets them relatively wide open, gets the and one. So just so much to unpack on this play, and I just thought it was a really, really interesting way to layer different concepts together. So they start with the ball screen here, just to occupy the top defenders here, get them moving. So set the screen, gets off of it, and then this big rolls, as you'll see, and he's going to set this kind of pin-in screen here on the outside low man in this scenario. And so then after he receives the pass, he's going to flow into a ball screen right here, get this guard out of the way, and then this guard obviously has to pick up now the ball handler, which at the same time, this guy who was rolled is now screening, so we've left this whole entire side of the floor wide open for this guy to get a shot. So run it here, ball screen happens, pin in, you've engaged the top guard here, so wide open look. Just a really, really nice set out of the zone if you're trying to get it. Last but not least, I'm running this clip too, but just another unique way that they screen zone. So utilizing multiple ball screens into possession to get their guards getting downhill. So same thing here. They really like to use, the clip run. They really like to use starting an action with a ball screen, nothing that they're really trying to score out of necessarily, but then they would use that man who just screened to screen again somewhere else in the zone. So in the first or the second clip you just saw, it was, the pin in. This one, he's going to screen the big man in the middle in order to help free up and drive down the middle of the lane for the guard at the top of the key. So sets the first ball screen, they get off of it, they're setting up the step up, and then he's rolled, and his whole job is just to clear the rim help. So he's rolling, he's just going to take this guy out in order to help create this middle drive, or create an advantage in the middle of the paint. So ball screen, then he gets in there, clears out the help, they get a layup out of it. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. It means a lot to me. If you want to look more at Slovenia's offense, I posted it on Substack, a whole breakdown of a written analysis with some clips you can save and stuff like that. If you prefer to not see a talking head in the corner when saving these clips, and also on all my social media, so on X and Instagram, you can find these clips. I'm posting them out throughout the week, so you probably already, if you do follow me on X and Instagram and stuff, then you probably already have seen some of them. But that way, it's an easier way to save the clips and stuff like that. But thanks for watching, it means a lot. So hopefully you enjoyed.